Well, hello there, for fellow sufferers of heat waves and enjoyers of orbs. I think the music is too loud, so let's change that as the very first thing. This game's soundtracks are very diversely mixed in terms of volume. Dang, I need to keep lower than that. Okay, so welcome. Elle, hi there. I'm happy to see you. Let me set up quickly the YouTube chat thingy so I can see people talking there as well. And we're finally gonna be there. Oh dear, it is such a nightmarish heat wave here in Germany. And I really gotta say this has been one of the most powerful things to have chosen so far to do my stream 12 hours earlier. Alright. Now we're there, right? Yeah. Okay. Now I can see both chats. Perfect. Let's see. Hopefully all the techniques are there. Alright. Romania is suffering too. Okay. Right now, well, my kid is the only person that has it well today in my family. He's out with a friend and playing in the pool of some school buddy of his. That's just as it should be, you see. Okay, let's just keep upgrading things. For all of those who are interested about the game itself, this is a save file that has now roughly 5 to 6 hours gameplay in it, and I roughly knew what I was doing because I played the early access 50 hours, so yeah. If any questions arise, feel free to ask away. What's my current goal, actually? I think it's the Dormic Scrolls, yeah. We haven't had many of these yet. They give elemental resource cap too. Nifty. Okay, yeah, I now remember. Nah, well, rich I wouldn't call that here in Germany. If people have a house, they usually are rich enough to have. It's an inflatable pool. Don't you think it's a real built one? It's just an inflatable one. Probably should have mentioned. Anyways. My excuse is that my brain is utter mush. We are now roughly a week into this mess, and yeah. Poet, hello there. Okay, we made 20 Dormic Scrolls. Let's see how are my trees growing. Go to the Agromancy tab and kill some trees. Do I have enough skill to kill trees? Yes, I do. Good. Hope the sound is going off well. Yeah, alright, I think. Yeah, we suffer collectively here. My kiddo kept forgetting things so much the last week, like for school. He's usually not like that. He's actually quite organized in these things, but yesterday he forgot his water bottle on the breakfast table. Luckily in school they got plenty of water for the kids, but I would say that speaks volumes about how much that can weigh you down. To even start forgetting water, you know. So yeah, I'll increase capacities. That sounds a little bit sharp, isn't it? Still a little bit sharp. I think that should be okay. Well, yeah, me too, Il. I was the same. I literally didn't understand why the heck I should take the effort to constantly shove things in and out of my school bag when I could just invest strength and physical pain into having just everything always available. That seemed to me much easier than the other alternative. I hate forgetting things that I am supposed to have with me. I hate that. It's one of those things. And the easiest way to make sure that you never forget something? Yeah. Alright, so chopping that tree yields amazing amounts of lumber. Previous version of this game we had much harder times in acquiring our lumber in these amounts, but we need it also in stupendous amounts, so nothing has changed. Well, my whole bargain fell flat though during the school time when I forgot things that eventually caught mold, you know, because elementary school kid, you're not necessarily as smart as you think you are, and yeah, turns out it has advantages, you see. Alrighty. So, we've got a lot of space available. Let's see. Sorry for checking my smartphone here, but since I am now alone with the kid, I need to check my phone if something comes up. Could be school after all, you know. Okay. With that amount of paper, we should be able to make some more atomic scrolls, but I'm not happy with my efficiency so far, so let's change something about that. Craftsmanship. It's the most direct way of amping up your crafting power, but there's more sneaky ways. So, this is a magic parchment resource. So, let's see. Where is magic resources? Does it work the other way around nowadays? No, it doesn't. So, here, attunement, magic resources gained. So, attunement does, on the other end, increase our atomic scroll crafting as well. I like that. But it seems as if I have attuned myself quite a lot in the past already, too. But those spells have become quite hefty. I am not keeping up with increasing my capacities. I love this game. You're constantly not keeping up with the speed of your expansion. It's like the game's pressuring you in a way because everything works so gosh darned well. It's a very interesting way of creating pressure. It's like rewarding you with so much dopamine that you have to take checks which dopamine fire first quench. It's very interesting. I really gotta say I'm so happy that 1.0 of Orb of Creation didn't let me down in the slightest. There was just one decision that I currently don't really like that much. That's the fact that we're no longer able to define at which output level we want to cast which spell specifically. It's now all one blanket solution. My entire spellbook now runs on output level 8. In the early access version, we could do that more granularly, and I like that more. I don't know. It's just like, it feels like a downgrade. But that's literally the only thing where I was like sitting like, nah, I don't like this change. And after that, I didn't find a single thing that I didn't like. Damn, El, you are too smart for your own good. You weren't supposed to look through this charade that early. You were supposed to play school with the other kids. Cheers to you. Seriously, you just disenchanted the whole school experience too quickly. Kudos. That seems the brain juices seem to be flowing quite well in your noggin. Let's amp up these. I mean, the really nice thing is that everything you learn goes into a global XP bar that, in itself, again, then unlocks new capacities for research. Everything is interwoven with anything here. And it's wonderful. So, improved charms. I'm not running charms too much. Improved auras. Am I running auras? What the hell are auras after all? Tell me, Marple. Wizard's Aura, Aura Magic Tome. I actually do run a lot of auras, thank you. I'm a quite auraful person, and I didn't even know how much aura I was already farming all the time. So give me more of that. There. God, my brain is so flippin' fried. I had a momentary lapse of where this icon was. It's really horrible, and it's not even the noon here. Oh. Well, well. But I'm glad to have you folks around. And compared to every hour here in the apartment, these hours are the best to stream. I really noticed that. Okay, so let's spend some of our space for resource caps. Resource caps are always good. The Urn of Urns is one of my favorite upgrades in this game. Put urns into urns to fit more urns. One very intriguing mechanic here is that we have one thing that passively increases the capacity for space. In the previous version, we were upgrading space manually. It feels pretty nifty to have an incremental background running upgrade for your spatial capacity. I mean, we still have the ability to do it manually, but the amount of little changes towards early access and 1.0 here is enjoying myself a lot. Can't wait to see the whole journey here. Well, I did some outside work already today, and I can say, yeah, while you are not directly in the sun, it's still okay. But once you go into the searing light, it hurts. Never would I ever have thought that the sentence, "the daylight, it burns," would make so much sense in my actual day-to-day life. I mean, I don't like the dystopia that I'm in, but it sure is damn funny at some ends, I feel like. Just my 5 cents. Hey, paper boy, happy to see you, mate. Glad that you are around even that early during the day. So generally, during the remainder of this and the upcoming week, if I'm around, it will be most of the time that early during the day. Because, yeah, like, I want to be there for my kiddo, like, 100%, and not be, like, working here, and it just doesn't work. You guys surely understand. Anyways, what's the first technology that we're going deeper than before? Thing is, I have a couple of abilities that don't run on their full capacity because I'm too noob at that. And I think Stormforging would be more mana regen. Wizard's Aura would be more Thaumaturgy regen. Thaumaturgy, I'm just producing tons of that with a spell, but that upgrade, I would be not relying on that spell anymore and could be casting one of the many other magnificent spells that I have in my spellbook. This game constantly shoves choices in your face. I love it. Expert Expansion, Expert Scholar, Storm, Wizardry. So Wizardry gives us more power on our spells, generally. And most things in the Wizard tab will be more powerful. Is it that? Effect level. Raises an attribute's power by its bonus power per level. Yeah, that will retroactively give me more value per level of something that I have developed already. Let's go. Boom. Yeah, a couple of things have instantaneously improved, and many of them were probably not directly visible, but whatever. Well, we have here clear blue skies and a searing heat. It is quite awesome, actually. Except for the fact that it's just too much UV radiation for anybody to enjoy anymore. It just sucks that no matter how heat resilient you are, your skin will always hate what's going on about out there right now. Well, I am not a summer lover, never been, but I gotta say, never would I ever have expected that the summer would hate me back that hard. I should stop hating summer before things escalate further. Did I miss Hyorin? Hi there. Well, Jamie, I hear you. I have that problem with the bright sunlight too. I most of the time prefer to wear shades because it's just too glaring. It just hurts to look outside like that. I vividly remember, and that is a very real little anecdote of my personal life, that I don't know, I was a teenager when we had one of the first summers that reached the 32, 33 degrees Celsius mark. I looked out of the window and I was like thinking, yeah, it'll be one of those days when I'll be dying. It was a fond war declaration against heat in my heart, and it never passed. Well, I better adapt myself, I guess. Oh yeah, harvesting. That's a good idea. It'll eat up my wood resources, but that ain't that much of an issue because it will replenish the capability, or it will increase the capability of replenishing my timber. Well, I personally think, Jamais, people who say that summer is the best season, I don't know, they stay. In my opinion, people who are really believing that are very good at ignoring pain and very good at just believing what they're being told. Oh, whoopsie. It's a little bit condescending for me, but I can't, for the love of my life, explain it to myself differently how anybody could enjoy this inferno out there. I mean, the asphalt on the road is actively hurting the paws of my doggo. Currently, we are not really leaving the house further than a couple of meters because behind my house I have a lawn where I can really take care that her paws are not being hurt by that. But you know, everything else, there's just so long stretches of asphalt that I don't have a good feeling of walking my dog out there. And the worst thing is, I think I'm right about that. You know? Ah. Well, it's an adventure that we all together experience. Let's put it into some positive framing as far as we can. Absolutely, dog shoes exist, yeah. Exactly for those situations when you need to walk your dog despite all the asphalt nightmare around you. Hello, Ash. So happy to see you around. I should stream more often in the early hours. You guys are all right. Hi. Come on, Ash. Don't pretend as if you are loving summer too much. You just have the luck to be born in one of the hottest places in Europe, and you're just tanking it, but much better than us. Or am I mistaking you there? Are you one of us? Then I take everything back. Well, El, the thing is, ever since I got, I've been attentive about the word speciesism. It never stopped bothering me. how much us humans are arrogant pricks when it comes down to other species of life out there. We're just such devastating assholes. Sorry, I had something in my throat there. Don't want to get demonetized here. 31 degree, we have 28. Damn. I mean, 31 and 28. I really would have thought that Spain and Germany would have been further apart, temperature-wise than that. Holy moly. That's quite calamitous these days, eh? Let's get ourselves some more powerful spells. I mean, the spells themselves are by now so powerful that... Let's see. Boom! More than my capacity can handle. It naturally just starts degenerating because I'm so far over my capacities. Do I need to upgrade my spells further? Absolutely. You know, it's rookie numbers. I need to up those. Well, Jermaine, I would more precisely say humans are not necessarily invasive. I would say a dominant species automatically does what we humans do. I wouldn't romanticize and would say that if pork would be or if swine would be generally the dominant species, they would be treating us like shit as we would do them. You know, I think that we need to go through all this to become better than that. You can't skip the learning process. It's just my take on it. But yeah, we are quite devastating, and invasive is not enough. That's the only point that I want to sharpen here. You're not wrong there, but it is much worse than you say. A CPU dying from heat by those temperatures is really... I mean, I'm not gonna lie. While it is that hot, I am actively avoiding applications that run on high GPU levels, because, you know, it does also make this room a lot warmer. It is quite nice in winter, though, but the same effect is just killing you in summer here. And my office is quite a small room with 2 windows that are aligned so that in the afternoon I'm getting the full brunt of the afternoon sun. I have not a good feeling about putting my computer on full stress during these hours. 27 degree poet? Well, it sounds like that's pretty much what we had yesterday. It was pretty warm, but tolerable. I felt like. Worst part is that at the end of the week we are supposed to hit 38 degrees Celsius during the afternoon hours. It's 2 days from here. Alright. Let's see, did we finally get our craftsmanship and all those things going for far enough? The trees have grown, because, you know, trees, they actively need time to grow, who would have thought? And let's chop some of them. "30 degree with heavy rain." That's the worst. That's really worst. The worst of hot weather. To me, the worst thing about it is how much it kills my concentration. The lapses of concentration that I had during the time previous days, it is immense. Yesterday, and here we can do a little bit of a pun extravaganza if you want to, because I discovered that, you know, if you leave a glass of pickled sausages, which has been emptied except for the water inside it, not closely screwed down, it might be that an icon gets up in the early morning hours at 7 a.m. and just gently swooshes that glass filled with, we Germans call it Wurstwasser, you know, because sausage is Wurst, and Wasser, I don't need to explain that first. And I discovered that Wurstwasser is directly the worst Wasser, you know. It was terrible. It was spread all over my kitchen floor right after I fell out of bed. I hate my job. I had to share this pain with you. I was swearing like a sailor. Oh boy, that was really quite a wake-up call. And yeah, I discovered the worst water that morning because of the smell, you know. I immediately took actions to sweep it away everywhere. I took the I don't know how to call it in English, but I washed it wet. Whatever. I mopped it clean. That's the word. And yeah, it still took hours before I found the last nooks and crannies. The stuff exploded so hard, the juices hid in the buttons of my oven. You know, I have these push buttons which you push out, and then you can control the heat of your plates there. I don't want to even know how it would have smelled if I wouldn't have taken the actions that I took. Exactly. So what did I learn? Alteration spell power and conjuration spell power. These are amazing. And one of the coolest things here is that whenever you have an upgrade and you hover over it, you will see the corresponding things blink like that. You will always get a notification which one of your current active elements that you can't see on the screen will benefit from the upgrade. That's such a step forward from the older versions of the game. It's excellent. So the problem here is that these abilities, as cool as they might be, will eat my Domic scrolls. And I don't like my Domic scrolls just to disappear like that when my library ain't even built. Seriously, I am a mage and I don't have books. What kind of mage am I? Well, I have a few books, but not enough. Not nearly enough. Let's cut some trees. Alrighty. And after that, we're obviously planting new trees. The whole new farming minigame is pretty cool. Wasn't around in the early access. Lumber was just merely created by casting a spell which just flooded lumber into your pockets. I like this one much more. It's giving that a very, very naturey feeling. Oh boy. Definitely one of the best choices to get started that early, because for once, I'm not sweating like an animal while I'm doing my work. Wait a second. Refunded? Does that mean I just got the tree back and I get to chop it again? Or did I just misclick? Whatever. So, replant those trees. Oh, my space is running over. So, what's the weakest upgrade currently? Sorcery and memory, and the Urn of Expansion, and physicality, as a matter of fact. Well. Let's indulge ourselves. Oh no, the whole chat fell silent after my horrible worst anecdote. I'm sorry. Us Germans, we are very attached to our stories about sausage. It's a national dish, sort of. Like, seriously, it's, we take our sausages very seriously. This weather ain't good for my brain. Where's Stop it, Ale. You're killing me, guys. I actually tried to make a sort of a game review here. But I gotta say, at these temperatures, I think everything is just failing and falling apart at its seams. Currently, we were talking about those that are pickled in the glass. Vienna sausages, I think they are called internationally. Or pickled in brine, if you want to be that specifically. Like I said, I'm taking these things actually serious. Okay, with that timber, let's head back to the Batcave workshop. Can I do something that my crafting will become even better? Engineering might be worth a couple of shots. It will decrease the crafting cost, which indirectly gives me also more resource per crafting process at the end of the day. Or differently put, I can do more crafting processes per stack pile, so to speak. This type of idle game is not really an idle game, and I'm cherishing the specific type of game quite a lot, because there is constantly something happening in the background, which is tingling my ADHD-ridden brain quite nicely, because I am suffering from something called executive dysfunction. So this is really nice, because I have a problem with starting things in general, and this game is constantly starting things for me and my troubled brain, and well, jokes aside, it's just fun. And if you like games like these, Evolve Idle and the infamous Kittens game should be right up your alley. They're very similar to this one. Nice thing, Poet, about Orb of Creation is that it absolutely expects you to not understand the thing you're doing at the beginning. The game is entirely coded around this premise that you are not really aware of how everything will interact with each other and how all the things will play together, and why this upgrade you've been investing heavily has been upgrading an entirely different venue all the time in the background that comes up useful later. It's pretty cool, and the more you get behind it, the more you start to notice how much you can do. That's pretty fun. And it works if you it works just as well if you keep clicking those buttons that show up from time to time, telling you to upgrade something. Speaking about which, let's upgrade our spells a little bit. Spell casting is also quite the beast in this game. Let's make a new template. I need more slots though. Those 4 slots are so limiting. Okay, so Industria, Conjuration Spell Power, and Conjuration Spell Cast. So let's check it out. What is Conjuration? Thunderclap, Conjure Space, and Conjure Life. Okay. Let's have some fun with those. Come on. And the Industria will improve the efficiency of those. Okay. We also have augmentation glyphs that I'm not even touching too much these days. Let's maybe discover a few. Weak. Making the spell weaker, but reducing its weight. Taskbar Hero. That's one that I didn't even know yet. Thanks. I will have a look into that. I am just a sucker for those. Makes the spell powerful. Generate 1 magic affinity. I just need to know. Okay. So that's 730k, and we'll cut couple of million of mana. We got that. Let's see. Can we still afford, or is that... Nah, that's too much pressure. You see, you can increase the level that your spells are cast, and you can increase something called reserve level, which will actively make all your spells more difficult to cast, but instead of powering the spells up, it does increase the spell power also a little bit, but it does increase the rate of resource gains. Look at that. Everything here goes up by that, by just making spells harder to cast. So you can specifically decide whether to invest into active casting or passive generation this way. It's excellent. Marple took so many years to polish this. I don't know how many, and I gotta say, I'm happy that my trust wasn't misplaced, that this frenetic perfectionist would get the job done. They just need enough time. I wasn't wrong about that. So, let's craft ourselves some paper. And cast those spells finally. I mean, do I even have use for those resources I'll generate? Probably we want to empty our pockets before we go for a heavy resource generation bonanza. Might be a wise choice. Alright. Green energy. The verdant energy ain't emptied yet, so let's get back to the druidry department and see what we can do there. I think that's as good as it'll get. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is quite a lot of nothing. Those spells weren't nearly as effective as I expected them to be. Ah, whatever. I'm mostly doing this to upgrade these spells, because the nifty thing about upgrading spells is that they belong to different categories of attributes. For example, upgrading Conjure Space improves the expansion, conjuration, and cantrip categories. Here's the neat thing though, due to the fact that cantrips are all the spells down there, upgrading the one spell will eventually upgrade the other spells that you are actively using more, quite a lot. So having loadouts that just spam out spells that you are not regularly using for the sake of this is actively helpful for you, and quite a lot. And this makes spellcasting improvement, I don't know how much better than in the early access, but I gotta say, I enjoy this so much compared to what we had before, which was granular and quite annoying and not nearly as satisfying to invest into as this. Well, good development of games, I think, Jamie, is a thing that takes time. You can't force growth, you know? A tree does take time to grow. And quite similar to that, I feel like good stories and games need that same time to thrive, and the same room and all those things. And this is one thing where I feel like modern industries tend to treat creative businesses not ideal. Let's call it like that. One of my favorite examples for that is I've been an avid lover of Final Fantasy in my teenage years. But I feel like after a certain threshold, Square Enix have decided to focus more on putting out a lot of games regularly instead of just giving things time to properly grow into the epic proportions they require. Sad. Yeah, Poet, it only gets worse from there. You'll be seeing connections everywhere until you feel like a magic conspiracy theorist. Okay. spin some of those. Oh, I gotta say, I need to invest into crafting speed. This all takes just too long. Why does writing books take so long? Okay. Wow, now I absolutely understand why we have the ability to upgrade our crafting speed. Where is it? Assembly. Assembly, oh, I do understand your existence now. But let's invest heavily into construction aura first, so I can generate skill more passively. Okay. Let's do that weird spellcasty dingy one more time. Oh, I didn't want to cancel my Industria. Good thing to know now that we can also cancel it. Hooray! Discovery of the day. God, it's so warm. In the background, I slowly feel the temperatures crawling upwards, sadly. But I hope I can help you guys entertaining your way through your own heatwave nightmare out there. Come on, let's raise the druidry level. Boom. Druidry level increase is fun. It makes everything more costly, but also a lot faster in terms of yields. We have to pay now a ton more skill, but we gain a lot more wood per second at the same time. Well, Jamie, I personally have to say, partially it is because as a child and as a teenager, you are easier to impress. Yes, we have to absolutely address this factor because it would be not honest to mention that. But I also feel like that in the time after the 2000s, many companies prefer a steady, safe output of games, which means safe, I mean like topics and formulas that are well received in the past. Do another sequel, do another sequel. Just iterate the story a little bit around and do another sequel. Stuff doesn't get revolutionized much more anymore because those biggest studios, they don't want to invest their money into something that doesn't give them revenue. While in the pioneer years, so to speak, of computer gaming, nothing was as established as it is nowadays. It was much more likely to land a surprise hit with a spiffy idea, so people with money in their hands were more likely to go with that crazy idea. But nowadays, people can look at a complete catalog of things that have been done previously and say like, nah, that doesn't look like it will pay that well. We are not going to do that. Yeah, business plan instead of game ideas. Yeah, that's exactly the thing that I personally see weighing down the Japanese gaming market very heavily. In the last decades, I saw a heavy decline of all their industry giants in that regard, that they all struggle to maintain a high level of creativity, innovation, and good sales. It's quite sad, but I also know, for what it's worth, that Japan is also a country where money is costly. That means A game that is developed in Japan is much costlier to be developed than it would be in Africa, for example, because the worker fees and all are much lower there. In short, a Japanese developed title has in in itself a higher financial pressure than other countries would have. That's really a problem for them. That's I wouldn't even say that the skill isn't around. They just need to make sure that their studio is around to pay their bills furthermore in an economy that is just nightmarish. So I do see both sides of the medal at that end, but on the other end, to stick to the same topic, I see publishers like Nippon Ichi, the people behind Disgaea and many other good things, that show me that you can risk doing something quirky, newish, and go against the mainstream and still be in your niche very successful. Because people who like Nippon Ichi games, they know what I'm talking about, and they would be absolutely coming back for any good title from that studio, except, for example, it doesn't fit your gaming style. They do some wild things in between. But my point here being, too much safety produces boring games, and this is something that we totally are suffering from nowadays. At the same end, too much production time pressure does the same thing. Absolutely right, Paperboy. Absolutely right. Germany is such a flippin' costly country. I mean, perfect example for that is, so to speak, my own business here. It took me a whopping 6 years in the German economy to get to a point where I'm now mostly self-sustaining myself. I'm still relying on a couple of help programs. Wohngeld, you surely know what I'm talking about, but I am now like as much on my own feet as most people in Germany are that are just working for somebody. It took me frippin' 6 years to get to that point. And I was already 2 to 3 years ago on a bandwidth on my channel that normally people would say, come on, dude, you have like 100 to 200,000 viewers on your total bandwidth. You can easily multiply your subscribers by 10, sort of. Anyways, it isn't enough in Germany. That's my point here. You don't earn enough money to get your living out of just that. It needs to be more like that. And this is really a problem with those rich countries, and it does enshittify a lot of things. They do, because it always has to earn enough money at the end of the day, and that sucks. Oh, Jamé, I'm so happy to hear that from you. I looked at those Final Fantasy remake sequel prequel abominations that they're doing, and I was like, come on, it was great back in the day, and a lot of those things were so great because we haven't had answers to everything, because a couple of things remained mysteries. Final Fantasy VII, for example. Mysteries are worth something, because at the end of the day, no idea that these people can cook up will be as good as the collective ideas of hundreds and thousands of nerds who have thought about, but why had Aerith really to die? But why was the conflict with Sephiroth inevitable? Why? What was the whole point of that? Of those bioengineering projects? All those things are so much more enjoyable when we sit in a subspace where we're talking about and brainstorming about the implications of those things. It is not as much fun if somebody takes a place on the chancel and preaches to us how these things actually were. I don't know. It doesn't convince me. I'm happy for those, genuinely happy. I really mean it when I say that I'm happy for those people who don't suffer from a taste like mine. Because I gotta say, I know that I'm kind of a demanding little piece there. I know that. But if it's a company like Square Enix, which is literally one of the largest companies on the floor there, I expect innovation from these because, why do always the people with the low resources have to bring the innovations that can be copied by the big companies? Huh? Oh. Yeah, the name itself, Final Fantasy, with all its sequels, is quite ironic. Indeed. Final Fantasy 16 is in itself kind of like a bad joke. If you think about it. It's basically satire that writes itself. It's basically a satire that writes itself. Okay. Another level of Orb XP. Nice. Yeah, let's go for that. I really want to be better at planting stuff. Hey, Poet, welcome back. I just made a joke about the fact that Final Fantasy is probably one of the worst game franchise names to have survived that long, that I must say Final Fantasy 16 is basically a joke that writes itself about too much sequels out there. Yeah, Demonling, I'm aware of the actual background, and doesn't it make it all the more frustrating into what kind of capitalism treadmill it all has come down to? Because I have played in my childhood, not Final Fantasy 1, admittedly, Final Fantasy 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, and I stopped at 9 because I didn't like their chibi style. And I didn't like their sports theme in FF10 anymore. Sadly, I tried, but the whole no, I don't know. FF10, I still have it on my in my library for things that I finally want to complete. It's basically one of the things which I wanted to finish all the time, but I never found time for it. But yeah. Well, I can't say as much from my own experience. You're better off alone than being married with somebody that you don't want to be married. So, I know that's a weak consolation price, but some things are better not rushed. That's all I'm saying. So, energetic and mental. Well, Demonling, X2 and 13, yeah, I couldn't touch these either too much. I did try to get back into the MMORPG they did, but I found the writing so lackluster that I eventually jumped ship. To me, I am absolutely, if I am playing a story-based game, the story better be knocking me off my socks. Otherwise, I'm not really inclined into that whole thing because why are we doing this? If the story is not really the best part about it in a story game. It's just my point of view. Well, my parents were absolutely horribly not fitting to one another, and my entire childhood was based around me deciding never to be married. Yeah, that worked well. But I had to go through quite a lot of toxic relationships before I was able to see how much those bad patterns that I had in my childhood around me have influenced me to be quite incapable of finding a good partnership in the first place. So, seriously, it is darn important to not just be in relationship with somebody to be in relationship with somebody, and then even worse, to just have children because you're supposed to do so. I mean, nowadays this ain't as much of a topic anymore as it was in my generation. You know, in the generation of my parents, you were pretty much a pariah or a pariah. That's how it's called. Um, Somebody who people are asking, what the heck's wrong with you? Why don't you have children? You're married. Is your husband gay? You know. In this society, people were defining themselves very, very much about their at that time. It's nowadays not that much anymore, I hope at least. Well, either you are the problem or you are part of the problem and you are good at running into people that are shoving and neglecting their own responsibility away. I'm saying this so specifically because this was very, very much my own trauma, that I was very convinced of being a big, big problem in all of these scenarios, but unable to see that most of the time my partner in crime was very, very much my partner in crime, and they never admitted it. So, you know, it always takes two for a problem, and if both sides are willing to reconcile eventually on the fact that something went wrong, basically unstoppable. But if you are stuck with somebody who's constantly thinking they can make somebody else pay the bill for whatever fallout has happened in between two people, that's usually not getting better from by itself. Just keeps on like that, because it needs a certain willingness to change yourself internally. You need to have that desire to better yourself. Without that, it's just changing anything usually. So it's always worth to take a to sum it up. It's always worth to take a step back and consider what you could have done, but also consider what your what your partner or ex-partner could have done differently too, and how unrealistic that would have been in that specific situation. Because I really am extremely good at feeling responsible for everything out there, and there's personality types that totally hijack that fault and be like, yeah, cool, of course you're to blame, so I am not. I like you. You see, problem? There's a dynamic that can be easily abused there. So, give me a sec, guys. I'll be right back. Hello. I knew it was a robot calling me. I saw a private number there. But if robots are calling you like that, you better take off, because they keep calling you until you have took off once and just canceled the call. Gotta get rid of those folks. Well, it is hard to just generalize things. Every person is different, but I stand to my point that it's, you know, relationships are not a vacuum of one person. Never. And if you ever feel like you're the only person to blame in a situation, there's usually something off. Okay, those spells, they suck quite hard. I really don't like any of them. But I mean, I didn't go into this whole thing here to actually use them. I just went in here to level them. Well, what I do see is that you are pretty good at putting your finger on several things that you are capable to work on. And I promise you, that alone is a pretty good start. You'll get there. You'll get there eventually due to that. Paper planning. So, what the hell? I can't upgrade my artifacts, and I had no clue. You know, you are just this is just what I'm talking about. This game. There are so many cool things you can do, and you don't even notice them for a while because there's just so many good decisions and so many useful things to do. Let's upgrade those. I mean, that's after all why I came here. I love, by the way, the fact that you get that payoff for just grinding spells up on the other spells that you're going to use later. I don't know, games that give me the feeling that I can't prepare for a problem on in so many different ways, it's just making me always happy. Or to put an end, to put a good word onto below that what you said, El, many of the things that you have mentioned today, I've been suffering through these as well, and you can get behind that. I gotta say, in some cases, therapy was the only thing though that brought me through, because sometimes you just need another human being reflecting on the stuff that happened to you, because some things introversion is just not able to fix. Period. Just gotta accept that. There are blind spots in your perception that you will never be able to crack open by yourself. Sadly. It would be really handy if us humans would be built like that. There we go. More spork. I want that. I could swear I had already invested into that a while ago. I am not a trained therapist. I'm very sorry to say that. I'm just an empathic person that can relate to a lot of things. That's not the same. That's absolutely not the same. Don't fool yourself on that end. I was quite amazed how that one dude, the last therapist I've seen a couple of years ago, managed to patch me up with like a dozen of sentences at the right spots, fixed me better up than years of introspection. It's quite amazing what some people, how they know to use language as a remedy. It's amazing. It is really. I consider myself very, very lucky to have met this man. not gonna lie. Greater learning. Oh god, I have totally neglected my concepts. Well, we have done quite well in this end. Oh, I can uncover a new one soon. Yeah, let's lower our wizardry costs. Saver! Yeah, the game is completed finally! It is finally 1.0 after, I don't know, years of waiting. Many years of waiting. The Steam page said, the developer hasn't made any updates since 3 years. Be cautious when you buy this. That's at least how long it's been. Yeah, Paperboy. Very, very wise words. When you ever have the feeling that a therapist is full of shit and they're just actively making things worse than better, you're most of the time right about that. Because a good therapist doesn't make you feel like that. If they know their job, this is basically one of the things that is strictly forbidden, so to speak, in their course of action to make you feel bad about, It's very cool, very good that you mentioned that, because I've been around psychiatrists. In my case, it wasn't a therapist, but a psychiatrist who totally shoved me into the wrong direction. Entirely. That was really not cool. I struggled a lot until I recovered from this meetup. So yeah. Well, I haven't finished the complete content of the early access, Xavier, because I didn't want to have seen everything when 1.0 happens. And frankly said, I grew tired of all the still has to be developed markers that I started to find after 35 hours on my save file or so. And then I decided to give it a rest until it is completed. Well, it took a while from there on out still, but here we are. There's a couple of new concepts that weren't around in part 1, and basically early access, and basically everything you knew from early access has been kept in and or enhanced. That's a very good point, Jamie. I mean, many people suffering from psychological illnesses have the problem that they have to find their voice again to be actually able to talk about that. This can have so many reasons. One of the many reasons, which happens, for example, here in Germany a lot, is actual cultural shaming. It means that, in my teenage years and childhood, it was perceived as a flaw of character to have a mental illness. It's your own fault to be mentally unstable, basically was the verdict that the public opinion was. And that's flippin' toxic, we know that now, but back then, that was the only available perspective for many people. Not for everybody. I mean, nice people, empathic people, and all these things, they always existed in parallel to these public opinions. But the general public opinion was, if you were depressive, better stop being sad so much, huh? Easy. And in many parts of the world, it's still like that. And I always feel like if anything that I say manages to nudge somebody into the direction to be able to talk more openly about what's bothering them inside, which they usually are struggling to find words for, I'm actually convinced that I'm already doing a good thing. Because, you know, every step into this direction is a good step. Well, I noticed, Jamin, the richer the societies get, the more judgmental they seem to get for a lot of things. I don't know. I mean, in poor countries it is the same, though. Don't get me wrong, but I always have the feeling that if people don't have too many real problems in terms of health, food, having a roof over your head, this is all where people start to invent new problems. Problems that are probably no problems. But, you know, racism, for example. I'm glad to have you folks around. Really a nice crowd today. It is almost like tonight because I have really done my best to shut out the light in my apartment as much as I can. I even stuck some towels into the windows. I think the proper wording were stuck. Sometimes I'm Germaning more hard than other times. Yeah, Germany is right now. We have 28 degree here in my area at that time of the day. Well, Germain, at this point you are starting to judge yourself in a way that I personally don't. I can't approve or disapprove that. But one thing I did notice over time is only because the problematics of a high technology society are entirely different and less about survival, it doesn't mean that the pressure of suffering inside you is lower than the person starving in Africa right now. You know? It is not measurable. What is more suffering? Somebody who has such severe depression that they end themselves the time before they end themselves, or somebody starving to death? Do we really want to compare these things? Can we even compare these things? I highly doubt it. So I really say I'm a little bit careful saying that people in rich countries like ours don't have any real problems. We might not have that substantial problems, but obviously the problems that are existing in our society are enough to kill people, or drive them as far to rather kill themselves over living further in that situation. I think that says a lot about the severity of things, personally thinking. Jeez, that's we are reaching a very, very good depth level in our today's discussions. Proof. Appreciate. I like that. Hope you guys are in good company here too. Okay, let's swap back to the green spellbook. I mean, I think this is supposed how we're going to work with that. Oh well, Jamie, I don't think that anybody needs to change any mood here. I've always been somebody who enjoys talking about deeper and more heavy topics in a way that they are not weighing down people, except for maybe, don't know. What can I say? I've been a goth during my early adult years, so I just figured that goth clothing is not really the best in this season anymore, so I went a little bit more conservative. Well, philosophy is one of the most valuable things that people have invented, because it really is a tool for us to help us out of problems that we wouldn't be able to get out of without philosophy. But there's also a lot of junk that people are talking. That's the price. Okay, let's get ourselves our first force bark. Peel bark. Oh, I can either peel or chop. Peeling does take a lot more skill than chopping, so we're absolutely for violence here. It's very, very responsible from you, Jamie. I really appreciate you as as good company. Thoughtful people are always good to have. Spark Chaos. Earn 1 random treasure. What? What are treasures now? Inventory. Scroll of Advancement. Okay, I have an inventory now. Okay, I think this is going to be consecutively more costly. And now? Toxicity. How much condensed magic? Ooh. Oh, it's basically my my stomach for drugs. Yeah, well, I don't know why Goth Icon makes you cry, but I wasn't looking that bad. Alrighty. On other related news, I'm turning into a paper tycoon. There we go. That's really a lot of paper. Nice. Good. That means we can finally build some stuff that requires lots of paper. But before I do so, I'll invest heavily into assembly, because I was so tired of taking days to get through that. Welcome back, Ash. Well, I actually worked as a goth DJ in my 20s. Just in a small, really small nightclub in my hometown, but experiences that I wouldn't want to miss. Holy guacamole, we're upgrading that workshop. Wow. Okay. What did we learn? Druidic Resonator. Oh boy, that's good. And parchment resources gained in the paper mill. Heck yeah. It's just excellent stuff. Okay, but first let's cram our building queue with all the books that I haven't crafted yet. Oh my god. Oh god. Oh god. I'm going to have such a flood of resources now. So the magic books give me more knowledge and thaumaturgy income per sec. Of course. Scholar's books are good for my skill caps. Jeez, these numbers go up so hard now. Well, Poet, I actually had a short relationship with a woman once. That exactly went down the same. That began the same way that your marriage began. Didn't hold up longer though on my end. Isn't that fun? Glad that you had the happy ending that I haven't had. Yeah, Ash, I get that, and I do see a good, a high likelihood in the upcoming time that I will be streaming more earlier, because I figured that the late hours are not really my best either. So, physical speed stats. Voltaic stat. Crafting a ton of items now. Wow. Space cloak. Spatial resources. I like that. But, nope. Oh, robes of construction. They're both good. But I do need more artifact capacity. Wasn't there a technology for that, or some expertise? Let's see, Artificer. Well, no. Not there yet. And here I can't upgrade my... I haven't learned it yet, that's all. Woodworking. Okay. So many new things just unlocked a moment ago, and I'm already pondering over the next things. That's quite cute of your wife to say, Poet. Okay, but I gotta say, most things that were giving me trouble in my first run are now absolutely going down smooth sailing. And we're even getting closer to the gather space too. Nice. That means I will, after that, finally officially open up my alchemy lab. Artifact capacity. Well, that was exactly what I wanted. So, my good friends, I will be back in a minute because I need to follow the call of nature. And that's it already. I'll be turning on the camera in a second again because I'm doing things that I don't want to be recorded while I'm doing them. They might be illegal in your country, I don't know. Also, I don't want to offend any people who are struggling with smoking addictions or anything like that. I'm not smoking, I'm only vaping, but you know. Just in case you were wondering why I turned the camera off, that's all. Oh, hell yeah. That was pretty much doubling my thaumaturgy. It's not smoking, it's dragon's breath, yeah. I mean, vaping is, to me, something that... I mean, it's not nicotine and anything, it's just the habit helped me to get out of my tobacco addiction there. And, you know... We all retain, I'm afraid, some bad habits eventually. That's what life does to us, I think. I'd say. Happy for those who don't who don't have to feel like that. Hey Ash, she's still around on rehab for like 10 more days, and then she's finally gonna be back home. I'm still taking care of the kid and all by myself during that. Why can't I equip more? Oh, I only have 2 slots. Now that blows. I need more artifact slots too. I see. Okay, now that makes things a lot more difficult. But I like that. Would be boring otherwise. Okay. Oh, well, I gotta say, due to the fact that I can invest 100% of my time into being around for my kid, it's actually quite okay. It's just hard work at the end of the day. But, well, due to the generous help of you folks out there, and due to the fact that we got a payment granted, which we were waiting 7 months for, things are quite okay these days. But yeah. Due to the multiple sclerosis on my wife, we have to change so many things on our life now. I mean, she's fine now, but we definitely need a different apartment. Stairs are something we can't tolerate for the next decade and such. So yeah, lots of things, but well, luckily you can take this all step by step. And it's not gonna be happening all at once. Well, Paperboy, Wounded was 7 months processing time in my area here. If you say that I got that quick, well, cool. And I don't want to know slow. Was already enough of a pain in the first place. I mean, what sucks is that we now have to plan for the next couple of years to move. I have to somehow grind together the money for a driver's license too, because eventually it doesn't work if only she has the driver's license in her setup right now anymore. And driver's licenses in Germany are, I don't know, buying an ingot of gold might be cheaper. Well, it's if you want to have a joke on bureaucracy, I'm still waiting for another thing where my health insurance would be coupled to the official health insurance of creative workers in Germany, to put it into to easy words, which would give me quite a lot of protection that usually self-employed people are not receiving, like retirement funds and all of those things. And it's now 9 months that I'm waiting. 6 months ago, I received a letter where they told me, "We are processing your request." Yeah. Meanwhile, plenty of countries have their entire bureaucracy logistics or already digitalized or are on the way, well on the way there. Germany, let's not talk about Germany. I don't know. Sometimes I really feel quite offended about the stubbornness of our country in terms of being on par with the future. I don't know. Everybody from Germany totally understands what I'm talking about. So, are my spells at a pricing that I still can pay them? The answer is yes. Are my spells at a pricing that I can still pay them? Probably. I think I can't raise my reserve levels any further. Sad. Well, the ironic part is that Germany is still a very, very comfortable and good country to live in. We are just requiring more than that, many of us. But yeah, biggest problem that we are currently seeing, as far as I can note, is that here in Germany, that there's more and more people that are either very well off or absolutely at the bottom and almost not being able to survive from month to month. And that gap is growing since so many years, and it doesn't get better. No policies are bettering anything in that regard. We are currently in the worst era of what I'm describing ever. I mean, it's just really, really hard. I just almost wanted to refer to a couple of jokes that us Germans make about our current chancellor, but I noticed that these would be a little bit too expletive. Asada, hi there. I'm early, yes, because I currently can't stream late at night because I'm home alone, and in the heat wave, my son prefers dad to be around if necessary instead of being working and streaming, you know. And I figured let's do an inverse stream. Usually I'm exactly 12 hours later around, or earlier. Later. You get the idea. Happy to see you, son. Been a while. So let's keep those spellcraft thingies. Oh, by the way, can we upgrade our spell skin? Because spell mastery is absolutely useful. Yeah, I really like that about all these mastery skills. It's always a different set of things, but what's really useful is that that cooldown speed bonus. It's really new spells. Recharge versus Brainstorm. Oh, good old Brainstorm. Can't say no to Brainstorm. Shape Nature versus Haste. Haven't we had Shape Nature before? Yeah, I want that. This is the perfect spell for running around with when we're doing our green works. So let's get ourselves a new loadout for that. I need Shape Nature. It is a charm spell. Druidic Corporeal Charm. Okay. Do we have anything else that we can bring in there? I mean, this is rather useful when we're doing druid work, and this is rather useful when we're doing druid work. At the last spell, conjuration spells. Are these conjuration spells? Conjure Life is a conjuration spell. Meditations to fat for my bar. Oh, we can. We are going to bring in Psychic Blast just to have a blast. I have to do this. It's cheap. It's a bad joke, so I plunge right into it. Anyways, I wanted, of course, to upgrade this neat little spello. Well, the most augment glyphs add in things to my spells that I currently don't need. I haven't had the need to optimize so heavy that I felt like I need to do these augments now, so I'm not using them. This is something you will run into on me a lot, that I usually end up optimizing the moment the game is hard enough that I need to. Otherwise, I'm coasting through things as lazy as humanly possible. Scrolls of Taiwu, I have that on my list of things that I want to do. The devs even have had reached out to me, but then communications faltered a little bit here and there. And the last month was just, let's put it into blunt words, quite difficult. And have you played it, Asanda? And is it worthwhile? If so, I'd really like to know. Do I still have one of those? I thought I had none of those anymore. Did I get a refund? Probably did get a refund, huh? Cool. But I am now skillful enough to peel my tree too. But it's really a lot less force spark per second. Well, I mean, generally speaking, if the mechanics are enticing, it's always a good thing to have something to chow through. So, a little bit torn right now because I still have a lot of things on my plate that I want to cover. The recent version of Songs of Six I haven't touched yet. I hope that finally this week I will get to it. But yeah, I've been mentioning it before. Currently, I'm mostly around for my son because I'm doing all that work alone while my wife is on rehab. And yeah, I will try my best to get there as soon as I can. I mean, they've been working for so many years on Taiwu. I literally been expecting Scrolls of Taiwu basically shortly after I was feeling rather done with Amazing Cultivation Simulator. And that is now 5 years ago, at the very least. Oof. Yeah. Yeah, Sandra, that's the problem I have so many times with a lot of Chinese games these days. The Chinese developers seem to be excellent at producing deep games. They really are. I mean, it's amazing how much I see on that end, but at the very same time, I see them sadly struggling quite often at fun in those deep scenarios. That's why I liked Amazing Cultivation Simulator so much, because it had so many enticing features for other games, like classic RPG exploration and colony management, and a lot of things that work very, very well on other games have really glued the whole thing, the whole esoterics together. And I've had many a Chinese game that I really would have loved to love, but it was just too hard because the game was more a job and less a game. And yeah. But I'm pretty sure that we're seeing here a natural development of things where it'll become better over time. That's my verdict here. I'm pretty sure that these folks are just calibrating themselves the current in the current iteration of software, and at the very latest 5 to 10 years we will have eventually the first global hit that's originating exactly from the same roots as we see them now, which we find a little bit janky and hard to navigate. I mean, at the end of the day, Sander, Amazing Cultivation Simulator does the same thing. You literally have to work with a lot of very, very deep mechanics from minute one on. If you are not managing Feng Shui from the beginning on, people's hearts will explode. Literally. I mean, you see, the burst of laughter says a lot about how I feel about these features, but it still is one of the most sadistic experiences that I've had in my gaming years, and I've been through a lot. ACS was a cakewalk compared. Oh boy. Well, yeah, it's a good thing that I've been benching this for another day. Because lately I'm very much running on a very low budget of brain capacity. Been playing a lot of Path of Exile too lately with the latest version. I was the first time really diving deeper into the game. Until I had the first signs of carpal tunnel syndrome, I felt like it's time for an ARPG vacation. I don't know. I don't have a healthy relationship with ARPGs, okay? I know that. I somehow can't put them away at a certain point anymore. Well, Amazing Cultivation Simulator 2 will either be suddenly popping up and be the best 3D manhwa game that we've ever seen, or it will just never happen. And the frustrating thing is, I see both these things equally as likely to happen. It's kind of frustrating, but seeing how perfectionistic the folks were behind ACS1, I'm pretty sure that if they are still working on it, they will work on it until it's good. And that might take a while, because these guys, they really tried to have a Zen burger on their last game. And usually developer studios try to become better than they were before. So it's gonna be an extra Zen burger with some Nirvana on top. Not easy to produce. I'm pretty sure that they underestimated the scope of that project in the first place. That's my personal assumption. I really hope that I'm correct about that. I wish them all the best. They've literally kickstarted my entire career with their game. And I'm not even over-exaggerating. A lot of people, until this very day, know me from that guy that explained ACS to them. I think, Asanda, you are one of those, right? Tale of Immortal, I had a problem with its mechanics that were too frustrating. They had too much systemic indulged frustration points in that game, which eventually bothered me too much to enjoy the game. I have to differentiate that carefully, because Tale of Immortal is, in its core, a great game, but it works with a lot of potential loss mechanics. You have to grind a lot. Some things are even very gambly, and I don't like that. I like determinism in my games. ARPGs are like Path of Exile and such are literally the only spaces where I can somewhat digest a non-deterministic gameplay. But generally, if there's too much potential frustration due to random number generator that I can't avoid, I struggle with games. And somehow, Tale of Immortal hit exactly that venue to me. And on so many points, be it either the way that you are ought to look for skills, which is really random in its core, or just the randomness of how difficult it can be to receive enough of a certain resource in a certain amount of time. So many things where I've felt like sadly kind of like uncomfortable with the game. So many words, mainly because I really wanted to like that one so badly, but I fail. I sadly fail. Yeah, if I do something, I usually try to do it as completely as possible, so people can actually learn from it. Thanks for appreciating. And yeah, Tale of Immortal had some severe shortcomings to me personally. I put it into this wording because I would love to be able to enjoy that game, because I do see how much effort was poured into this at the same time. It's not really a half-assed game. It's just very hard to enjoy due to its internal architecture. At least my personal take. And the social game in Tale of Immortal was, for me, the tipping point. I had so much PTSD about it that I actively forgot about it until Asanda mentioned that one. Hey, somebody pops up and just smashes your face because they randomly hate you because of a string of events that was totally outside of your control half a year ago. GG. Would love to get smushed by another fire cultivator out of nowhere yet again. I was really bollocks. And way too hard to control. And even if it would be able to be controlled, the main issue would have been that it still wouldn't have been fun to control. That's where I'm just jumping ship. Alexis Kennedy's Cultist Simulator has a similar way to piss you off with their fascination and dread and evidence mechanics that will kill you eventually, and the constant juggle of these resources is mind-numbing. It is annoying. It pisses you off eventually, but it is still in a way that you can get into the cadence of getting through with it, of sticking with it and finding a rhythm that makes it all bearable. I wasn't able to get to that point in Tale of Immortal's pitfalls of the social system. That was a big problem for me. Yeah, well, Xavier, here's a good point. It's a very excellent example that realism is not necessarily fun. There's been a very, very good interview, I think, with Gabe Newell, the dude behind Steam and Valve, who stated out that too many developers get the wrong idea that players want the maximum realism. Realism blows realism takes fun out of things. Games that get realism done and are a great game at the same time, that is where our dopamine levels are going out of bounds. Not because things are so realistic, but being despite being realistic while being a great game. Rimworld is a great example for that. Rimworld loads up your brain with a bajillion of unnecessary things that you need to manage, but eventually you feel like, yeah, it's realistic, and that's why it's cool. This is something that it's really hard to get the proper balance there between fun, realism, and depth. Very, very hard. These three things are, I think, among the most generalistic pillars that games reside on. And I mean, I'm doing this more or less for a living, and I try to be as objective as possible with my work. I really do. Cultist Simulator was a game. What was, in my opinion, also the worst of Alexis Kennedy's games. I love Cultist Simulator for its premise, but the actual gameplay fell quite short. And I'd even go as far as saying I would love AK getting back to Cultist Simulator and give us Cultist Simulator 2. You know, a polished up version with all the lore that has been created since in between, and all the great quality of life the man has cooked up in between. That would be one of my favorite Christmas presents ever. Well, Xavier, in a cultivation game, realism realism is always closely knitted to the rules of a world. If we are playing in a fantasy world, we have other definitions of realism than we have in a steampunk world or in a manhwa world. You know, realism is always bound to the conventions that you expect from that world to happen, you know? In a sci-fi world, we don't act too surprised if an alien pops up. If we are in a low fantasy, gritty setting, a UFO that suddenly lands somewhere will feel like the most horrible idea that the story writer could have come up with. So, realism is a highly flexible thing. If you look closer at it, it's quite crazy how unrealistic realism can quickly be. And Factorio is a true masterpiece of game design. The perfect amount of reaching a goal, which leads to new problems, which lead to new goals, which lead to new problems, which lead to new goals, and they're the perfect cycle constantly happening everywhere that they made it so much a thing that nowadays the modding community is even able to replicate the balancing of the game quite reliably. And that is one of the things it doesn't get talked about enough, in my opinion, because that means people who love Factorio enough get deep down enough into it that the modding community is basically capable of producing a comparable product as the original developers were. And I've seen that only so far with Minecraft and Rimworld. I mean, I haven't been in the modding community too deeply here. I gotta admit that my perspective here is a very shallow one. Really. But yeah. Yeah, Pyanodon is something that is on my bucket list, or at least trying to die while or trying to die while solving it, or something like that. Would be a worthy end for a gamer, right? falling dead on your keyboard while trying to solve Pyanodons. I mean, that would be the perfect gaming anecdote to go into history for me. Pyanodons is so hard. There's been that monster. I love that story. Jamais played through Tale of Immortal. I haven't read that quickly enough. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's something I can totally relate to, Jamais. The interactions in the game feel at many ends very shallow. Tale of Immortal is at too many ends very broad and shallow at the same time. While I find that very much working for No Man's Sky, I mean, many people did criticize that about No Man's Sky, but I always found that No Man's Sky never made any secret about being not the deepest game of them all. It never tried to give me that feeling that it would be the super realistic hard sci-fi simulation out there, whereas games like Tale of Immortal give you the feeling that they want to go there, they want to go that deep, they give you all those systems, and then they are very, very difficult to play. Yeah, my cats are definitely behind there. Yeah, Ash, exactly. That's the problem with Pyanodon and me too. But the solution to that will be I'll be just streaming my R's off here while playing it. So you guys are my excuse to waste my hours on Pyanodon. Smart me, eh? I really gotta say, Pyanodon would be one of those projects where I had little to no hope to get anywhere without a community watching me playing it. There's a couple of games that work like that. I, for example, would have never, ever in my life ended a single game of Rimworld, like the end game at all, without having made all those Let's Plays that I did for Rimworld. Never, ever would I touch that. Never. I actively didn't. I played like, I think, at least 700 or 800, if not 1,000 hours of Rimworld before I made Let's Plays, and I never touched the endgame. I only did that because I felt like, would be a nice thing on camera. So you guys are really helping me out in getting over my ADHD, not getting things done that are bigger than me. Or I don't know, maybe it's just a human fault. Hard to tell. If you're neurodivergent, it's hard to tell where normality begins and your own wonderful bag of treats ends. So, analyze elemental. That would bring us elemental attribute cost reductions. Okay. And learning essence. Gain essence resources. What are essence resources? Tell me. Space is an essence resource. Control is an essence resource. Control is an essence resource. Or we... Yeah, I like those cost reducers. Cost reducers are mighty. You want to scale upwards as much as you can, and that just helps. Okay, it does cost me Spark and Psi. Well, that's not hard. Well, Xavier, the requirements are not a problem insofar as it will only downscale the effect. Here, Wizard's Aura is a good example. I still get 125 thaumaturgy per sec, even though I am not fulfilling the requirements. It'll only get better from there on out. But yeah, the second decisions on most skills are requirement-wise way beyond what you are at when you are unlocking them. I find that a very interesting thing that Marble consistently gives you in this game the option to to skip certain things and go further down the road way before it's time for that. See you soon, Asanda. Good luck in that meeting, whatever it might be. Alright, let's look at our lab. Must have had a lot of spell points. Durations. Generators. What are generators? Ah, that's generators. I see. One of the things I really like that you can look up basically everything. Okay, let's develop a couple of those basic spell schools further. Oh, I ran out of timber. Quick, get the tree! Alrighty. So far, so good. Time to plant some new trees, I'd say. Oh, I should have activated Shape Nature while I was chopping those trees. Ah, dang. So it reduces Acromancy cost. Let's see. Oh. Yeah, those spells are actively cheaper now. Or the spells, the activation of those abilities. Cool. Okay. So the proper course of action would be to activate Shape Nature and then chop the tree. Okay, let's see. 100,000 now. And at 250,000 after that spill. Okay. And much faster done too. Well, I'm glad to hear that, Poet. I was a little bit concerned if my initial assumption that this game would tickle your fancy would be correct, but I somehow was quite sure, knowing you so far, the way I do, that this should have been right up your alley. So I won't be able to stay that much longer, but still will a couple of minutes. And before I go into my usual goodbye speech for today, I already glimpsed over it at the edge of this stream, but I sadly have to do a little bit of talking that currently I'm more than ever depending on donations and any help we can get, due to the fact that a couple of weeks ago, my wife got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. She is far away from being in the wheelchair and all. She's quite the opposite. She's perfectly recovering right now. But this diagnosis meant for us that a lot of things in our life have to change. We have to adapt so many things. And yeah. Those of you who are around the whole stream have heard that it took me alone years to get to the point to live off of what we got here. And my big fear is that we are not going to make it in time until we need anything. Anyways, we're doing fine here, and I hate these things myself, but I also gotta accept if I need help to, I have to ask for it too. So if anybody out there wants to, there's a couple of things you can donate to. There's description box thingies and all. Every little gesture, every buck is met with deep appreciation, and I say already thanks in advance for listening to my private little sob story here. Sorry if that weighed you anything down in any way, but it shouldn't have. Anyways, now I'm done with that. Just wanted to do that before I properly say bye for today. I don't like to mix these things. Alrighty, I want to check back with this one here. And that's lowering elemental attribute costs. So, elemental attributes are seriously only these two? Okay, interesting. But at the same time, it's far from being a bad thing, because that means exactly I can infuse my mana like crazy, because we just lowered the average cost of those upgrades massively. This is much more of a big deal than I initially anticipated. Okay. Can't make our spells again more costly, but considering how much mana per sec I got right now, yeah, I better should. Wow. Which one was the generator for? So, let's see. Wizard's Aura. Perfect. You can look at where they come from. Nice. That's so helpful. Alright, everybody. I am very, very hungry. I need to go and have some dinner, and I just wanted to say thanks for the really, really cool time I had. I hope a couple of you have had some interest about Orb of Creation as well. Really a game that I 100% recommend to check out if you are at the very least interested in idle games and the like. This is one of the things that I've been waiting for since many a years. Alright everybody, thanks for the good time, and see you all at the next Wednesday at the very latest. And drink enough, stick through the heat. We're going to